Feeling ashamed and feeling cringed out is destroying your life. I think the greatest lesson you will learn as an adult is that being shy will get you nowhere in life. And being a shy adult will actually ruin so many opportunities that you could have had, but you're leaving it up to other people to take those opportunities, even though you have earned them, or you're in the right place at the right time. You're letting life pass you by. And I think shame as a concept, I wrote a thesis on this specifically on kind of the theory of shame, how shame affects us, and specifically talking about Sartre, who thought that shame was a very critical emotion for us human beings because it allows us to understand ourselves and recognize ourselves. And I analyzed how shame affects us nowadays in terms of social media, how it intensifies this feeling of shame. And also cringe culture has become a thing where you can't do anything anymore without being called cringe. But why are you cringe? Because other people who sit in their house all day think what you're doing is uncomfortable? In my opinion, you can try to avoid being cringe. You can try to avoid being embarrassing, but it's not going to get you anywhere in life. It's definitely not going to make you successful. And I think that in order to be successful, you have to be a little bit cringe, because cringe is nowadays almost defined as anything that is outside of your comfort zone and that is unfamiliar to you or that you find embarrassing. But back in the day, people will tell you you're embarrassing for going on stage or participating in a school play. You would be embarrassing for wearing pants that were a different color other than blue. Like, you would be embarrassing during school times because you were wearing something other than jeans. You would be embarrassing because you tried out a different hairstyle. And now all these things that you wore in school are viewed as cool, are viewed as fashionable. And now having a unique style is actually an asset. And it's the same thing with being cringe or doing cringe things, or that other people or that your friends find cringe or embarrassing. First of all, if your friends tell you that you're cringe or embarrassing, or that what you're wearing is off-putting or just, not their style, and how could you wear something like that, these people are not your friends, especially when you're trying to find yourself, discover yourself, try new things, put yourself out there. If you start posting videos online and if you see that none of your friends are commenting, nobody supports you, these people are not your friends. They will tell you that you're cringe and they will tell you that you're embarrassing. But as soon as you see any kind of success happen, all of a sudden everybody wants to be your friend. All of a sudden everybody says, I was there from the beginning and I always supported you. But where were you when I started out and when I started posting my first videos that were horrible and I had horrible lighting and I looked horrible? Were you there? Were you cheering me on? No, you said you're cringe and embarrassing, and how could you ever do something like that? And so these people who call you cringe in order to help you, like they say, I'm just telling you because I want to help you, I want to protect you. Protect you from what? From success? Because maybe you have nothing to win, but you also don't have anything to lose in this. And if you're putting yourself out there, you will leave your comfort zone. And just by leaving your comfort zone, you will already learn something. You will already be confronted with a new version of yourself that is a little bit less scared and a little bit less fearful to interact with the world around you, whether that be online or in real life, face to face, even just approaching people, learning to stir up a conversation with a stranger. You know how frightening that is, because the fear of rejection is everywhere. And it's really scary to just go up to someone and start a conversation with them. But it's such an exhilarating feeling once you do. Anytime I sit on a plane and I'm next to a person that I don't know, I stir up a conversation with them. I just ask them why they're traveling, who they're with, who they're going to see, if they're excited, and people love to talk. Most people love to talk, especially with someone that they don't know, because it's a new experience. And I think human beings are craving new experiences in a world that is pretty much all of the same all of the time. So when you put yourself out there and you feel like you have something that you can contribute to the world, then there is no reason to be shy or to be timid. And talking about being shy, it's a skill. Being charismatic, being a great communicator, being able to present yourself or even present something in front of a crowd of people, going on stage, all of these things are skills. And how do we learn skills? Through practice. So the way to be less shy is not by saying, hey, that's just who I am. I'm just a shy person. I've always been that way. Yeah, maybe as a kid that was cute, and maybe as a teenager you were the shy kid in class who never raised their hand and never participated because it was just too intimidating and the pain was too excruciating, because there's a lot of pressure when you say something wrong and your teachers criticize you, the students criticize you, your friends, like everybody criticizes you, and that gives you a really, really frightening feeling. Like you feel really scared of just putting yourself out there because it's connected with a lot of criticism and a lot of pressure, and that is totally fair. But as an adult, you will simply not benefit from being shy and holding back, because you will just pass up on all these great opportunities that you could have if you put yourself out there a little more. And I think talking to strangers is a great way to practice that. Starting conversations with people on trains and on buses, and even with your bus driver. You know, if there is an opportunity when you see the person isn't doing anything right now and they're just waiting for everybody to get on the bus, and you happen to sit next to them, or you happen to sit in front of someone next to someone, or you see that someone needs help, you stir up a conversation with them. The other day I was at the mall and a really cute dog came up to me, and this dog was with a lady, and we started talking because I was just petting the dog and I was talking about how cute her dog is, and she showed me a picture of her son and like told me how they got the dog and told me a little bit about their family. It was really nice. And then we both went our separate ways, but it was a great interaction, and I felt great afterwards, and I hope she felt great afterwards, because it was just warmth, you know, comfort, the comfort of human interaction, which you're missing out on if you're hiding behind this facade of, oh, I'm just a loner, I'm just an introvert. I'm an introvert. I love being alone. I love being at home. I love doing my things like painting, reading, making music, and all these things that you do by yourself. I love all that stuff. But I know that human interaction, communication, is just as important. It's a skill. And if you don't practice it, if you don't go to the gym for months on end, you can't expect to go to the gym and then be super fit if you don't train for months. You can't expect that. If you're an athlete and you haven't trained in a really long time, you can't expect that you're going to be up to form when you get back in the ring, if that makes sense. And it's the same with talking to people. If you don't ever talk to people, if you don't communicate with them, and if you don't have an interest in them, you will forget what it's like to have an interest in people. And that's very dangerous. That's very dangerous. If you forget how to actually be interested in people, you become someone who's not really charming. You become someone who is very selfish and very egotistical, and that might work for you for a certain period of time. But as soon as you want to connect with someone, you'll see, hey, this is pretty hard. I don't actually know how to do this anymore. And they will not want to connect with you because they will feel like you're being a dick. You're being an ass because you're not actually interested in getting to know the person. You're just interested in what they can give you and what they can do for you. And that's not a good place to start. Taking it back to Sartre, he actually said that shame is such a fundamental emotion because it is the only emotion and the only feeling that really allows us to see ourselves objectively through the lens of another person. He basically said any other interaction, you kind of have these preconceived notions about yourself and you don't really see how other people see you. So first of all, he said you need the interaction with other people so you can actually have a reference of what you are like and who you are as a person. Because if you're simply isolated and never talk to anyone and you're never around people, you don't actually know what you're like and you don't actually know who you are. You need other people around you and you need the interaction and the communication to know, okay, this is how I am and this is how I affect other people and how other people feel around me. And so shame is one of those emotions and one of those only times in life where you get a slap in the face of how other people see you. He has this example of you're eavesdropping on a door and you get caught and all of a sudden you feel the sensation of shame. And you think to yourself, dang, I'm doing something wrong. Why do you feel that? It's because the way the other person is looking at you signalizes that you're doing something wrong. It gives you the impression of, I shouldn't be doing this right now. And you feel like you see yourself the way the other person sees you because they think what you're doing is shameful. And then you reflect that back on yourself and you're like, oh, I guess this wasn't cool. You need the feeling of shame desperately to evolve and to reflect yourself and to adjust to what it's like to live with other people. And as human beings, we crave connection, we crave communication. It's a normal thing. And if you don't crave it, then you have isolated yourself so much to the point where it's not healthy anymore, and it's not going to do you any good, because the minute you want to be successful, or you want to have a job, or you want to have a family, or you want to have friends, or you want any of these things, you will need other human beings around you to do that, or you will naturally have them around you. And if you have lost the ability to interact with them by that time, then you will have a really difficult situation on your hands. It's just going to make it that much harder for you. So the more you ease yourself into it, and the more you get used to putting yourself out there, feeling and allowing these emotions of shame and cringe and, oh my God, I'm embarrassing myself. Yeah, as you should embarrass yourself, because that builds tougher skin, and it's going to make you more successful in a way faster pace.